So we're going to revisit this topic. This is the same thing I presented last time. The outsourcing versus offshoring discussion. Okay, so again today we're going to talk about three different elements of this. I want you guys at a very basic level though to be able to distinguish between outsourcing and offshoring. What are the differences between the two? And I'll give you a couple more examples today. So by definition, outsourcing is when I take something outside of my company. Okay, so this could be across the street, it could be around the world, it could be anywhere. Offshoring is very literally, I take it off of my domestic shore. So if I'm in the U.S., I'm taking it anywhere else outside the U.S. There are three factors I want you guys to consider. The first factor is going to be the control factor. Where are these things? Is it something that I can take outside of my company? Is it something that I can only find somewhere else in the world? Then we're going to talk about cash in terms of cash flow, but also whether or not it frees up cash or whether I'm using cash to do the exercise. And then human capital. So is this going to take people to do, or is it going to free up people? Examples. So for offshoring, I have two examples here. I thought these were pretty cool. The first is British Petroleum. If we think about oil, when we think about Britain, is there a lot of oil in Britain? No, probably isn't. We normally think of the Middle East as a place that there is a lot of oil. We also think of Russia, we think of South America. Well, in order for British Petroleum to procure these things, they have to go outside their domestic country. Okay, so they have to go from Britain to South America and other places. Another example may be Nike. Okay, so this is actually a negative example of how Nike went from the US and they went to Asia and they created sweatshops and some other things. Now, what did this do for Nike initially? Initially, this freed up a lot of cash. They weren't paying domestic wages anymore, and they weren't paying for domestic factories. They went to Asia and they built very cheap factories and they bought very cheap labor. Now, this wasn't necessarily a positive thing because it brought a lot of negative attention. So we do have to think about these things when we're deciding whether or not to outsource or to offshore. In terms of outsourcing, I like the couriers and mail delivery, the FedEx. So this isn't necessarily something that I can offshore. I can't hire somebody outside the country to put my mail in different places inside my country. That's not, it's not as smart as using somebody who already has a competency at home, like the United States Postal Service, Federal Express, or some couriers. So what this does for me, I don't have to hire an individual or have an individual on my staff that knows where everything should go, how long it takes to get there, how much it's going to cost, and fuel, and other things. So this is going to free up my human capital. However, it's going to use cash, and it's going to give up my control, because I actually have to give my package to somebody else, and I have to rely on them to deliver it in a timely manner. Well, before I get to the very end, because I went through this way too fast, so the other example I was thinking about was going to the airport. Okay, when we go to the airport, we have a couple different options. What are our options when I go to the airport to go to like a conference? How do I get there? Taxi, okay. Oh, or shuttle. Okay, so what are taxis and shuttles an example of? Is that offshoring or outsourcing? Okay, so if I wanted to get to the airport, would that be something I could offshore? No. Okay, good. So one of the other things too, could I take myself to the airport? Okay, so then I keep control over it because I take the route I want to take. It doesn't take as much cash. It's still going to take me a little bit of cash, but it doesn't take as much cash. And I can park on one of those off-site places, and then I have them courier me to the airport and back. But it's much shorter, and I have a lot more control over it. So I don't have to wait. So one of the problems we have with shuttles is that shuttles can arrive late, or I can miss time. I can think, oh, I have 2 hours until I need to be at the airport, and then we had traffic. And that's not as much fun. Or we have to pick up other people, which is stuff that I don't have control over. So if we think about it, the difference is that I have control over the process when I drive to the airport. It frees up a little bit of cash, but it uses my time. Now if I was to take a shuttle, I may be able to use that time to do some work, depending on how far away you live. So I may be wrapping up a presentation or working on the ends of a paper for a conference or something like that. So I want you guys to think about these several things: the control, the cash,